And now on the line is Susan Collins, the Manager of Addiction Response, Crumlin or ARC. Susan, welcome to the programme.
Dan, thanks very much for inviting me.
Okay, that's great. Susan, I read a blog post recently about you that said that you were the leader who instigated the setting up of Addiction Response Crumlin, and I know you've been responsible for the running of it since it opened. We have nearly an hour to do this interview, Susan, so could you tell me how worrying life was like in your part of the city that led you and your colleagues to set up ARC?
Yeah, I had a brother who was in addiction to heroin, and we as a family would have tried to support him. He had 7 sisters, so the 7 sisters would actually try to support him. However, we were enabling him more than supporting him. We'd give him money every day. He'd go to each sister. I needed to know more about addiction, and there wasn't a lot of research here in Ireland, so I would have rang someone. This is before the internet. I would have rang someone in Scotland and got the information posted over to me. I joined then citywide drug crisis campaign and heard all about what other people were doing in their areas. However, I was totally opposed to, as citywide was, any of the vigilante stuff. I felt that, like, my brother was, he was in addiction to heroin. He wasn't a criminal. And he lived in my parents' home. My parents had died in 91 and 92. My dad had been the Lord Mayor of Dublin back in 1977 to 78. His name was Michael Collins. So there was a community kind of activism within my family. I was, growing up, I would be in part of helping with summer projects or helping the senior citizens with their bingos and, things like that, helping neighbours, basically. So, unfortunately, the neighbours would have complained if we started up something back in 1996. So, my brother passed away, anyway, in the May of 1996, the 14th of May, the same time that Josie Dwyer was murdered. He had been murdered by people. They bet him up. He was unfortunate as well. It was in the down beyond Dolphin's Barn somewhere, and I just felt they can't be treating people like this. Our state can't be treating people like this. There wasn't much of a service. It was Trinity Court. You got 6 weeks of methadone kind of reduction. No one kind of looked at your head. What was going on for you? Why were you doing it? Why did you become addicted when other people didn't? So, listening to other community groups in Tallaght and that set up programs. In 1995, I was listening to Liam and the people in Tallaght that were, and I went up and visited them. And I got involved kind of in citywide around that time as well. And we went on marches looking for services, looking for someone to recognise that there was a heroin epidemic in this city. But we weren't being listened to. So there was a good number of deaths from HIV around that time, and people overdosing, and it was horrific. So when Patrick died in the May of 1996, I kind of did an interview with Marion Finucane, God rest her, and that kind of spurred me on. I was involved in politics myself. I was a member of Democratic Left. I've been a socialist all my life. I believe that people should be cared for by the state or by their families. There's a lot of different issues out there in communities, and communities like Crumlin or the Dublin 12 area are exactly like Coolock, Finglas. We're disadvantaged areas. We haven't got the infrastructure. We don't have enough youth work or youth work leaders in areas like this. So I sent out a letter to community groups in the area inviting them to a meeting, and the letter said no vigilantes need attend. 7 people turned up, which was more than I expected from my ads. And I convinced them 7 people to actually come on board with me and start something for family members. We started up doing it for family members only, and we were going to try and influence policy at government level to do something about the situation. I was on the national executive of Democratic Left then, so I knew I could influence the party, and fair play to Pat Rabber. In 1997, he brought out the first ministerial task force, and he set up the task forces across this country, and they were brilliant. And they don't have the power.
Task force, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't called. It was just a national strategy on it, right. And Fergus McCabe and Tony Gagan and everyone else was part of that. So, and Shawnee Lamb, people who know those names, they were all part of it, and they were all part of the design and the rollout, and Citywide had a huge input into that document as well, but not a huge, they were part of it. We were all kind of consulted at different levels, what was needed, why was it needed. I got to meet the Taoiseach at the time and told him my story and said we needed something. I never met a Taoiseach before, and I haven't met a Taoiseach since. So then we started up the family support. The stories were just terrific. People didn't know what to do with their young people who were in their 20s, basically, at that time. And then there was older people. So people were calling to my house. I live in Crumlin. I grew up in Crumlin. They know where I live. So people start calling and nearly crying at me to do something to help them. So we had an extra few volunteers, so we said, okay, let's do something. And we drew up a plan. And now, if you drew up this plan now, you'd be arrested. That's all I can say. I was working at the time, part-time. I had to speak to my family, my husband and me too. They were teenagers at the time. And asked them if I could support service users in their home. So we started the buddy system back then in 1996, by the October 1996. And the buddy system was that we actually went with you to a GP in an area, and you paid the GP for your prescription. There wasn't any doctors giving their prescription on the medical card, although you had a medical card. And then there was only 3, I think, pharmacists that were dispensing it. And Mr. Bowles on Dolphin's Barn was dispensing it, and we spoke to him. And he dispensed the methadone. The service users at the time would have signed over the methadone to us, which was a Class A1 drug. And they would call to my house and other people's homes. Can I say there was about 9 people dispensing methadone in the Crumlin area. There was strict guidelines about when you would come, how you would present, and things like that. But, plans don't always work out. So I had about, 60 people calling to my house on a daily basis. So I was basically a chemist dispensing methadone and giving them a cup of tea and a chat, and then we'd meet up in the community hall and we'd do urine screenings, which we had to fundraise for. So we'd fundraise to get urine screenings done in a private clinic because the HSE didn't want to know us. As we were increasing the demand, we had to stop taking people. There was one doctor came on board with us and he wrote prescriptions for some people, about 20 people, on the medical card script. And I don't think I can mention his name here because I didn't ask him if I could. But he's still with us in Addiction Response Crumlin to this day. And he took on a lot of the people that had major issues, either financially or health, so he could look after them. And eventually, when the national strategy happened, or even before, we got a doctor off the HSE. His name was Seamus, and he came twice a week. So we were moving people slowly from one. But as we were doing that, we were taking on more people. At one stage, we had 300 people on the air program, and we were running it as volunteers. We were very safe in their community, I might add, and we were cared for by air service users. I could tell them if I was going away for a holiday for a weekend, because I couldn't go away for a full week at that time, and just going on a weekend holiday with my husband and kids, and nothing was happening to my house. So one time I got on the radio, and I just said, someone needs to do something, either arrest me, because I'm holding Class A1 drugs in my house, or make us legal. So the national strategy then came into being, and the task force and everything else, in the April of 1997. It took them a while to get things done. In the October of 1997, so things moved quite rapidly, with programs, having to do programs, having to, show how you were going to treat people, how you were going to manage what you were going to do. We employed 5 people in the December of 1997. We still had a huge amount of volunteers, and that's what areas like Crumlin, Drimnagh, Cabra, Coolock, Ballyfermot were great for volunteers. So we started with 5 staff, and over the years we kind of grew, and not only do we have family support, we have aftercare, we have an under-18s program in their own building. We've lots of services, alcohol services, and we've just been grown and grown because we do it by a strategic plan and logic model. I know that people say, what is a strategic plan? That's your plan for the next 3 years, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and what you hope to achieve. You don't always achieve what you hope to achieve, and that's okay. You learn by your mistakes as you go along. We've always wanted a childcare service, but not a baby minding service. It's a childcare service for kids in this area that would be disadvantaged, or their parents couldn't cope with them, that they could come and after school and get story time. It'd be bigger than an after school club, and you'd basically get them ready for bed and everything else, and it'd be a care service, and then you could bring them home to their families, because a lot of children, no matter what happens in the family home, they love their parents, and unfortunately sometimes some parents can't care for their children, and that's okay. That's why we have Tussla there now. And we have progressed. The service for people has progressed in Dublin, but it's not enough. We've been cut. Funding has been cut. I think in 208 air funding was cut from 208 air funding has been cut by 32%. And although we set up new programs and we've changed how we do programs and things like that, not one staff in this organisation, including myself, has had an increase in wages since 208. The staff here are flexible. We sit down, we meet, we talk. I think talk is the best thing. Communication is the best thing. Talk is good, but listening is actually better. If people could only hear the voices of the people that are struggling with addiction and with, mental health issues and all the other issues that are affecting communities. Because I don't only sit here in ARC, I am involved in Brew Youth Service. I was the chairperson there for a couple of years, and now I'm the vice chair, and I am involved in the forum in the community. So I do other things in the community.
Okay, so you were set up in 1997, was it?
1996. We received our first funding in 1997.
Okay.
We've increased our staff then since then to what we have now.
Okay, Susan, to talk about ARC today, we still have a big drug problem in Ireland, but I understand that it has changed since you set up ARC. What are the biggest differences between now and then, Susan? And can you tell me if the situation is better or worse today?
Well, we set out to support people with heroin addiction. I think we succeeded in that. There's not an awful lot of people beginning to use heroin. Now, the HSE could back that up at this stage. Very few people would present for a first time in a clinic. Not saying nobody, I'm saying very few people would. We would have noticed back in 1998 that there was a cocaine problem in this area as well. And some of the staff paid for themselves to go over. So it wasn't a junket, they paid for themselves to go over and see what the cocaine problem was like in New York. Made contact with a group over there. They did training with the staff of ARC and volunteers of ARC. In 1998, we recognised there was a cocaine problem. We weren't listened to again. As the drugs change, we get told, oh, it's anecdotal. We don't have the resources or the funding to go out and hire a consultant to find out the information. The government should be doing that. It's not anecdotal. When we spoke 10 years ago, I would have spoke about intimidation. And we were told, no, that's not happening. Intimidation, drugs, death, intimidation.
That's a huge problem, isn't it? Yeah.
It's huge now, but if we had to set down, there's very little you can do about it. You can give people the tools to kind of protect themselves around the drug death intimidation. You can give them all the information, but people have to, we give options. People have to make choices themselves around drug death intimidation. So you give them all the information and then they make the decisions. You give them a safety plan, but they are ultimately making the decisions. And it's usually the parents, the grandparents, the siblings of someone that's in debt to a drug pusher. Years ago, you would have been smacked around the head if you were if you had, you owed money. First of all, they wouldn't have given you a layoff. You would have had to go off robbing or something and come back with the money before they'd give you any drugs. But it's a different market now. Definitely the drugs are affecting most families. Addiction is affecting a lot of families. Either alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, internet addiction, drug addiction, over-the-counter medication addiction, to certain brands, I can't mention them, and prescription addictions. So we're dealing with a huge array of addictions, but we're actually working with the person. So you have to put the person at the centre of any service you're offering. You let them know what you can do for them and also what they can do for themselves. And that's how you treat people. And you give them the time and you make phone contact and you like before the COVID-19, this building that I'm sitting in here now on the Crumlin roads would have been buzzing at 9 o'clock because we have 92 people on a recovery program on a community employment. They're on community employment. We have different groups. We call them different names, but we have a progression group. And when you get into the progression group, you're going into college or you're going into work placements in real jobs. And, you're getting a third level education when you get to the progression group. And you stay in the progression group for 1 year. All the programs, like say they're going out for a break, a smoke break. They never actually meet each other because they all go out at different times. And we would have, like, spoken to service users and said, well, what would you like to do? And they go, I'd love to do horse riding, I want to do biking, I want to do this. No, what you want to do for your personal development. So we do reduce your use and how you can actually mind yourself when you're being offered drugs and, how to say no and how to feel okay about saying, no, I'm not doing that. And there's drugs in the families as well. Like, you could be a young person living with someone with heroin addiction or a cocaine addiction, and you're trying to get yourself and your parents are actually in addiction. That's very difficult. And then you've the homeless young people and young men and women. And, if you're homeless, I think you can get a service anywhere because we wouldn't discriminate and say, oh, you didn't come from this area. We'd say, well, if we can help you, and we have the space, but every one of our programs has a waiting list, and we don't advertise that much. We don't have to. We don't be people. It's word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's the usual thing.
And all those addictions that you named there, do you actually deal with all people with all those problems, like gambling and alcohol, on internet?
Alcohol, prescription drugs. Addiction is addiction. We're not a methadone clinic. We don't actually dispense methadone in our service, and we don't do needle exchange.
Right.
Okay, they're the two things we don't do. We're open from 9 o'clock in the morning, or we were open from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, 3 nights a week. So we could deal with you if you were in work as well. Different parts of the program have different opening times and different closing times. So there's a personnel here to talk to you and give you the information you require, or a phone number to ring the following morning if the staff member, because staff don't work them hours, but there's staff here. You could be starting work here today at 1 o'clock until 9 o'clock tonight. In the days before COVID. So now we've just changed our times again. To meet the needs of the service users. So some people are starting at 8 o'clock in the morning to get the paperwork done before people start arriving, or we go out and meet people for walk and talk therapy. Like, let's meet somewhere and we go for a walk. And that's good for people's mental health. The staff are looking fit and healthy, and they're all exhausted. And I don't think the HSE is going to buy them new runners when their runners wear out neither. But things are quite sad out there at the moment. People are very anxious and very stressed. And if you're cocooning with a couple of young children in a small, either flat or house, it's very difficult.
Okay, we'll come back towards the end of the interview and talk more about COVID-19. Can you tell me, is there anything else more you want to tell me about your programs? Because I understand you have a wide range of them.
Yeah, well, the under 18 program is you can drop in or you can get referred. Yoda, which is the young people's program on this side of the city, can refer you. You can get referred by youth service. It's a program that works with the person, not the drug. So they may have been dabbling with hash or alcohol. They could be from 11, 10 upwards, but 11, 12, they're dabbling with alcohol, and that's the time to get kids and start educating them about addiction. We also do this, it's a new program we started 2 years ago, and it's a 10-week program with youth, and each week there's a different part of the program, just bringing them through, how are you feeling? It's all right to talk about things, and a lot of the younger men don't talk, and we're still finding that. girls, young girls are good at talking, you're good at showing their feelings, but by the time you get to the 10th week, I think younger men and women are quite confident to talk about issues that they may have affected them or they're fearful of within the area. They're fearful of gangs, they're fearful of being picked on, they're fearful of being different. The cocaine project that's there, it's called now the cocaine and poly drug use. So, like people, that would be the first. There's 2 staff members working with cocaine and poly drug use, and so they work. They do late nights, and they did do Saturdays as well. A Saturday morning drop in from 11 till 3 o'clock in the day for people that were working or people that had childcare issues and people that could get their kids minded on a Saturday but couldn't get them looked after any other time. The family support. We'd have approximately at any one time 120 members of the family support group. We have different groups running different nights. We've groups running in the day. We have individual one-to-one. We have 7 volunteer counsellors in that programme, and we have 2 staff members. Okay. So it's huge.
Okay.
But they get a good quality. We give a good quality service also. It's not only about offering a service and then not caring about the person. People are contacted then by text and, so everyone is contacted. The aftercare program here is brilliant. That's all I can say. It's brilliant. The guy who runs it, Jerry, I think he worked out in Blanchardstown somewhere at one stage. But he runs a great program, and that's on 3 evenings a week, and it's a one-to-one service also, and there's counselling available there, and there's meditation, mediation. There's a lot of programs in there. He's great with the mindfulness. He does mindfulness programs and yoga, and then we had this program called the Frosties program. It was facilitated reduction of opiate substance therapy. So the service users called it Frost. So, and we call it Frosties because they call it Frosties. So we're changing that program into the future. We're going to do it as a benzo detox because we're seeing that people, they can get out, well, people can be supported around coming off their methadone through their doctor and a key walker. And that can happen. People, it's longer to come off benzodiazepine and, drugs like that. It's a longer time and it needs to be done slower. So we're going to work with people to come off the benzos that they've been probably prescribed for the last 20 years. Which wouldn't happen today, I hope, in any program, any pharmacist or any chemist or doctor. And then for the programs, basically, there's the treatment and support that has doctors there 4 days a week, and that's the first contact point. That's where you'll be. If the service of ARC is not available or it doesn't suit you, they'll do a brief assessment over the phone. And they'll direct you to which service within the organisation. They'll ring one of the key workers. All you have to do is give your first name and your phone number. They'll contact one of the key workers and from that section, and they will contact you within 48 hours. So within 2 days, they're going to get back to you. The Under 18 project, you will be contacted that day and possibly down for a brief intervention with one of the team the following day, unless it's the weekend, then it's the following Monday. So we're on our toes. We do refer people onwards. We don't hold people in recovery. You're not here forever. You can move on, but you're also welcome back if you need the service.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that you have a complementary therapy department because such services are not commonly available across the country for people.
we call it complimentary, but it's a therapeutic service. It's to do with acupuncture and, reflexology and to keep the body well. We also do an awful lot of gym work with people. The aftercare program 2 years ago set up an athletic group, and they have people that couldn't walk around one of the parks now doing marathons and would have put their names down. I know the marathon probably cancels, but they would have been doing a marathon this month. No, actually last month, April. They would have been doing a marathon in April in Connemara. So if you can get people looking after their body, look after your mind, you can beat the drug and actually love yourself. There's too many people out there saying, I'm not good enough. If you're breathing, you're good enough. And people need to know, and just love yourself. At least once a day, look at yourself and say, and only once a day in this time, with the hair not done and things like that, look at yourself and say, you're doing okay. We're doing okay.
Yeah, I love the way one of the complementary therapies you do is Reiki. We have that in common, don't we, Susan? An interest in Reiki.
Yes. I'm a Reiki master also. Yeah. So I volunteer some of my time here on a Tuesday night.
I love Reiki because the only time I ever met you today was, I think it was in 2002 in the Spa Hotel. We were doing Reiki level 2, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but Reiki has had a huge impact on my life because when I was a youngster, I did a couple of drugs myself as well, hash and ecstasy, and it really helped me get back on the right road,
Yeah.
So
I think it's because it's such a quiet kind of healing. No one has to put their hands on you. It's your energy that's being released. No one's giving you anything. And it's, if you know what that means, like the head chakra and, how that can get rid of tension and stress. And so we mostly do that with volunteers now because the acupuncture is good for pains and aches that you may have coming off anything. The massage is good because you're probably holding injuries. And it does relax you also. So it's, but when we get onto the COVID, that's all gone now. We can't do the hands-on. It's too dangerous at the moment, for everybody.
Okay, do your clients like the Reiki, do they?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody likes Reiki. And you wish you'd have more space. Like we have, in this building, we've 7 rooms, 7 therapeutic rooms to do acupuncture and, one-to-ones, and you know what the rooms look like when you'd have them as well, with the plinths and everything else. In Cashel Road, we'd have approximately 9 rooms up there, and in the under-18s building, there's 1 therapy room, but there's also a relaxation room, with the water bubbles and things like that. And we all have them. It's a relaxation room where people can go sit and just listen to music. And there's it's like a sensory room. It's lovely.
Okay.
And we can still use them now, but we cannot use the acupuncture and reflexology or and those things work.
Okay.
But definitely talk therapy works as well. If you have someone qualified as a counsellor and they actually do talk therapy, it's you talking, it's you telling your story, and then if you tell something, it releases something from you. If you tell someone something and you trust them to hold it for you, they're not going to go out and start talking about you anywhere. They're going to talk to their supervisor maybe about anything so that they can actually bring you back better information. You know how it works.
Mm.
So, like, you know, there are people out there that are trained counsellors, and it does work.
There is,
You know.
there is a huge shortage in the public health system, isn't there?
Oh God,
Counsellors,
yeah.
psychologists,
It's
and
ridiculous.
psychiatrists.
Psychologists and yeah, it is. We also have another group here in this building. We rent. Well, we don't rent. They give us a contribution of 5,000 a year for 2 rooms in this premises, and it's called Jiffica. So they work with young children in schools or in this premises 5 days a week, and it's at no cost. We don't charge for any of our services, can I say that? We don't charge for any of our services. No. All our services are free, and you get a cup of coffee, or you could get a dinner, you know, or you could get, you know, you don't have to pay, but we do sometimes have raffle tickets, and that's for the extras that we can't afford. You know, basically like Prince Charles sometimes. You know, so.
Okay, I just have a couple more questions on your current services.
No problem.
Do you deal with clients with frequent mental health issues or problems alongside having an addiction?
We try to. We prefer that it's a chicken and egg situation. Okay,
yeah.
They have an addiction, or they had mental health first. The mental health and the addiction services don't work well together. And I know it's in the national strategy that we should be working better together. That has not happened. And that's not happening in my community as much as I would like it to be happening. We have a community group like that run a mental health service. One of our staff here is released to that 2 days a week to help with the service. And then another community group gives someone else. You know, it's not a service. It's actually a drop-in. And people like to drop in and just have a chat, a cup of tea, talk to each other. And they're missing each other during these strange times. So that they're contacted by phone. Yes, I think if each community organisation had a mental health nurse, we could actually take on more people with mental health issues. We have requested this over the years, give us a mental health nurse. So that the medics in the mental health services could actually have a link with the nurse. And that would be real interagency working. However, the HSE and the government, they don't value what communities do. They prefer that we weren't here doing it. And, well, that's the way things have been going for the last 15 years. They just seem to be taking power away from the communities, closing down community groups, telling people they're not meeting good governance, telling groups they're doing this wrong, that wrong, the other wrong. And when we get on to COVID, I'll talk about that, about minutes of meetings that haven't been produced yet. But so I think the government and people in government and the politicians need to respect what the community are doing. We're professional people. We keep good accounts. We have, you know, I don't mind accounting for every penny spent here in this organisation. We have done nothing wrong with any of our funding. We spend it on what we project. We have our policies and procedures. Our staff work to professional boundaries. Some of our staff move on to the HSE because they're paying better wages now than we can. And people have to have a living as well. So we're losing the skills to the HSE because we can't increase people's salaries. Okay. Like you're talking 12 years, since 2008, 12 years, we haven't had an increase in their salaries. So we're not on the fortune.
Yeah, okay.
The way some people say, oh, well, at least you have a job. Yeah, I do have a job, but I have a passion for what I do. I won't always be here, and I will walk away in 2022.
Okay.
In June.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what you are looking like for more funding to expand your services and get a mental health nurse here?
Yeah, mental health. I think it's there is an actual name for it, but it's a mental health nurse, basically.
Nurse, yeah.
Psychiatric nurse from the psychiatric services. You know, we don't want someone that they're not going to talk to neither. You know, oh, you're not part of our service, so we can't speak to you. You know, I can't tell you anything. You know.
And is there anything else you want funding for as well?
Oh yeah, childcare. I'd love funding for childcare. Okay. Real childcare. Childcare where parents could come and learn how to be parents. You know, where they learn how to play with their children. Where children feel loved and looked after from the time they're born. I know Dr. Ian McCabe, he's someone that worked for us over years, and he would say, before the child is born, to someone that has any issues, whether it's mental health, physical health, or any issues, we should be talking to the parents and preparing them and making sure that things are okay all the way through their lives, the parents' lives, and the child's lives.
Okay. Is there any, you mentioned childcare there, and you'd like to have a psychiatric nurse linked to the HSC. Is there anything else you want?
Well, we'd like more staff, of course, because if we have more staff, we have a big premises here. If we had more staff, we could do more interventions. You know, we could, however, that's not going to happen. That's another strategic. In their strategic plan now, it's 2018 to 2021. We were hoping to be engaging with people around the gangs in the area, you know, and you know that's not happening. You know, and this is the teenage gangs. To see if we can kind of get them into services and show them what their lives are going to be like in the future. Because what they're seeing is, here's a gangster living in my area, he has a big car, never did a day's work, lives in a lovely house, has great jewellery, his kids go to private school, and I haven't got a pair of runners on my feet. So, what's the choice? And there's very little work that, you know, 17-year-olds can get when they drop out of school. And there is dropouts, and there is people that just don't like school. And Youthreach do pick up young people like that, but not everybody. And there's a danger that people just get into difficulties. The Garda Youth Diversion projects, they're great. I think the Garda Youth Diversion projects are the best things since sliced bread. They work very well with young people. And, however, we need to change the name of them. Like, you know, change the name of that. Call it something else. But it is, like, people have to be referred from the Garda to the Garda Youth Diversion project. And they're worked fairly closely, and a lot of young people, I know they're only been in existence a few years, but I know a few people that have gone to Garda Youth Diversion projects, and they're not involved in crime, and they're not involved in anything like that, and they've changed their lives around. So, it works. If something works, keep it working, keep changing it to meet the needs of young people, or, you know, don't get me started about the elderly, please. You'll have me here. I'll be on to you forever.
Are the Gardaí resourced well in your area?
No, they aren't. But I think they have done their best with the resources they had. Like, you know, our government cut everybody. to pay the bankers, basically, pay back the bondholders. And everyone suffered. And a lot of people are still suffering from it. And a lot of services, community development groups are gone in this area. There was 2 community development, they just gone. And a lot of places have, just stopped. There was women's groups that were being funded through partnerships and everything else. They're gone. If you look back and say, what did you lose in the area? We lost a huge amount of community resources in the Dublin 12 area. And someday they'll be back because there's a need for them. But if the government keep putting things out to tender the way they did with the senior care homes, and English companies and big businesses put in the tender better than a community group, well then I think we can turn off the light and leave the country. There'll be no one getting cared for.
Okay, just to come towards the end of the interview about your services, do you have good results or outcomes for your clients in your centre, do you know?
Yeah, we measure. We have a NICAS database, and everything you do with a person is on the database, whether it's therapeutic, education, everything is there. And as people move through, they say they have a better quality of life. I don't say they have a better. It's not me. It's not about me. It's not about our staff here. It's about how people feel about their recovery. Who am I to tell you you're recovered if you still feel that you need more support? These times with COVID-19, we would have set up, we have a critical incident policy, so as soon as COVID hit this country, we were meeting as a team, looking at what we're going to do, and as the restrictions moved on, we looked at what we were going to do. We are all still in work, all the senior staff are still in work, and we're providing a service here 5 days a week as opposed to 6. We've changed our hours that we're open, and we're moving people, we're still doing our service. If you're in crisis, we will meet you. If you're in crisis, you can come down, but by appointment only. The reason by appointment only is we have to meet you at the front door. We have to take your temperature. We have to ask you if you're feeling any of these symptoms. You have to go in and wash your hands. And then you can follow us down to a larger room where you sit at one table and I sit at another table. We're not sitting cozy in a little room chatting. We're sitting, distanced by 2 meters. We look like we've the stars and stripes in this place now at the moment. You don't pass here, you don't pass there. There's no one sharing an office in this organisation now. We actually changed rooms that were therapeutic rooms into offices in a couple of weeks' time, because I would hope someone comes up with a vaccine. I would hope our community listens and only goes out for essential services, which is to your doctor, your pharmacist, if you're an essential worker, and if you need to help a family member who's older, and who is isolated in their home. They are the 4 things, and exercise. But don't go out at 9 o'clock in the morning and stay out all day, exercising. It's within your, I think we're going to be kind of within our 2 kilometres for the next couple of weeks. And then the strict restrictions are lifted. We'll still be restricted. So we're working on how do we get our service users back indoors to do the services at the moment. So we changed how our times that we're working, so we could get our paperwork done early in the morning, so we can meet the service users then when they come in. We're practicing how we're going to run our classes and we're practicing how we're going to sit socially distanced, maybe 6 in a group, doing recovery work. At the moment, we're doing it by Zoom. We're doing Zoom face-to-face meetings and face-to-face contact with people. We're walking around different parts of Dublin 12. We're sticking within the 2 kilometres ourselves apart from getting to work, which we have letters to travel because we are essential services. And my number is on it, so if the guards want to, they can ring to see is this person on their way to work. So, I think the future, if we can stay in, I know we don't want to be listening to Leo tomorrow night or Saturday night whenever he gives us the bad news that we're all still have to stay in. But I started ARC to save one life. And if I have to stay in, I walk 3 minutes to my job and I walk 3 minutes home. If I have to stay in until next January to save one life, I'm willing to do that. And I think other people should. We have power now. Sometimes things happen across the world and we don't have a bit of power. You're being asked to take your power and do what is best for your family, your community, your country, and then the world, basically. If we do what, we see Leo giving out all this information, there's about 400 people behind him that we don't see their faces, giving him this information that they're the skilled people that know what's going to happen next. So when Leo stands up there, it's not Leo saying that. It might be Leo saying, we're going to put childcare in this place and childcare in that place, and then it doesn't work. If you listen to what that Dr. Tony says in the evening time, I can't think of his second name, but just call him Tony. Yeah, just call him Tony. I'd listen to him because he has the science. We have people in Trinity College, the scientists trying to get a vaccine. We have to listen to the people with the skills that are telling us now, if you do this, you will save the life of another human being. Well, I'm on for that. I don't care if my hair goes grey and my eyelashes fall off. I don't do the eyelashes. I've never got my nails done. I'm not a high maintenance woman. I don't care. I'm not going to be worried. I only have to look at my face once in the morning. You all have to look at it. My staff have to look at it all day. I don't mind what I look like. But if I can save one life, I'm staying in. I haven't seen my grandchildren apart from FaceTime on a computer. I haven't seen them since December. I haven't seen 2 of my grandchildren since December. I was supposed to fly to Germany to see them in March. That was cancelled. I'm supposed to fly in May to see them. That's cancelled. And I'm sure July will be cancelled also. They were to come over here for a holiday in July for a week. That's going to be cancelled. I have a granddaughter that lives in Leixlip. I haven't touched her since the beginning of March. She's missing the contact. She's seen other children going into other people's houses and saying, I want my granny to come up, or I want a friend to come into my house. And her mum and dad are saying, no, we have to stay in our house. We can go out for a walk, but we have to stay in our house. So a lot of families are taking this serious, and it's only a handful of people. And it's not only the young people. Stop blaming the teenagers. It's not only the teenagers. There's people not doing what's good for their community, their country. So listen to the signs. It works.
Okay.
And thanks very much for inviting me onto your show. It's been brilliant. talking
Okay,
to you.
Susan, I had a couple of more other questions to follow up at the end of the interview, but we have to go now in time, so we leave it there.
Yeah,
I'll be
and
talking.
thank you very much.
It was great talking
Yeah,
to you. Thanks for coming on the program on
give
Near
us a
FM.
call another time.
Yeah, I'll be
Cheers.
talking to you again on Near FM soon. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. All right, bye
Mind
bye.
yourself.
Bye bye bye
Bye,
bye
bye,
bye
bye.
bye.